Some stories are filled with mystery and adventure. When you dive headfirst 20,000 leagues into their depths and face the monsters that lie in the shadows. Some are cautionary tales which recount of lurking dangers. They are filled with looming omens and often conclude with grisly ends. Some inspire valor. They are marked by the boldness of kings and the courage of heroes. As pages flip and stories unfold, these stories fill our minds with endless possibilities. As we're guided through foreshadowed demise to protect us from foolish desires. And even with broken hearts, as we rise up with courage and forge forward, we look to the story of Christmas as the greatest story of all.
Good morning, good morning. We are in a series called Once Upon a Christmas, and we're talking about the greatest story ever told, or the greatest story of all, and just the wonder that is Christmas. And if you're a Christmas fanatic, you get the wonder. If you're a Christmas Grinch, then maybe you don't get the wonder. But either way, whichever one you are, the greatest story ever told, the Christmas story, the original Christmas story is what we're in this series talking about. I'm talking about the story of Jesus coming to earth, leaving heaven. And last week we talked about why Christmas. And today, the title of today's message is The Crazy of Christmas. And before we jump into that, though, if you're watching online with us, welcome. We're glad that you're here. If you're watching from somewhere that is snowing, we're incredibly jealous of you. But post a picture of your front yard and let us see that. And if you're watching from just here, around Byers, whatever, let us know where you're watching from. Couch, kitchen table, wherever you are. Post in the comments there and let us know. For all you guys that are in the room, thank you guys for being with us today on this rainy, kind of dreary day. How many of you guys had a hard time getting out of bed this morning? You know, the rain and the cloudiness and all that. You're just like, but it's cold. Thank you for jumping in and being here today with us. Next week, couple like just quick things for you. Next week, we're doing Family Christmas. It's something we try to do every year here, where we bring everybody together in one room. All the kids will be in here with us next week. And we'll be doing a lot of different things throughout the morning. It'll be a shortened service. So if you're like, I have kids and I don't know about bringing them into a service, it'll be shorter than normal. And we'll have hot chocolate and Christmas cookies in the lobby as you arrive. Cannot go wrong with that. So that'll be happening in the lobby as you arrive. And then we will do an abbreviated service in this room with everyone and celebrate Christmas together. And then on the 27th, we're not having service in the building. I've said that a couple times throughout this series because I want everyone to know if you show up, we won't be here. We're going to be airing a Christmas Eve service on the 24th on our Facebook and YouTube pages that you guys can watch. At any time, once it airs, you can watch it with your family. And there's going to be elements throughout it, especially at the end of it, that you do with your family. And so we're going to be giving you those things next Sunday. So if you're here next Sunday for Family Christmas, whenever you leave, we're going to give you a little bag that has some things in it for you to use during the service that's going to air the week of Christmas. So that's what's happening over the next few weeks, just so that you know and that you're on the same page and all those things. And that allows you as parents, grandparents, spouses, friends to be able to disciple, to be able to read the Christmas story together, to be able to take communion together at home and all those things. So it's going to be a really, really cool thing. If you're like, man, I don't really know, I'll probably watch it by myself or whatever, invite at least one person to come and watch it with you because there's some elements in there that you can do together and it'll be super good. So do that. It's going to be awesome over the next few weeks, doing some different things as we end out the year. So last week we talked about why Christmas. Like, why Christmas? Why do we celebrate it? And we answered that question that Christmas isn't just a holiday. It's actually a rescue mission. That Jesus left heaven, came to earth as fully God, fully human, and he became God with us. He became Emmanuel, God with us. And today, as we kind of continue in this series, this idea of the greatest story ever told, Once Upon a Christmas, we're going to talk about how there is a crazy side to Christmas. Not just the Christmas of 2020, but a crazy side to every Christmas. And there was even a crazy side to the original Christmas. And it was way crazier than what most of us give it credit for. But I want you to think about this for a second. Christmas, from a distance, is pretty and charming. But have you ever thought about the fact that if you get up close to it, it's not near as charming or wonderful or beautiful, maybe as it seems from a distance or on the outside of it. For instance, how many of you guys have ever tried to take a family Christmas picture before? In that picture, the picture always, like the one you put on the card that you mailed everybody, it's all pretty and it's nice. And most people are smiling at least. You know, it looks like it was well done. Like no one was fighting 5 seconds before the camera got snapped. You know, all those things. Some of you are like, yep, been there already this year. It seems like that it's all good. But all of us know, if you've ever been a part of a family photo, it is not pretty in the moment. It's not pretty in the moment. In the beginning of that, it's like it's scary, like that was. It's scary. And so in this whole like Christmas moment of like, oh, we're all excited and cheerful and joyful, and this is going to be sent out to all of our friends. Normally, like a few minutes before that, there's typically somebody arguing, somebody crying, somebody fighting, right? So I thought, why not just take a look at some other people's failed Christmas cards this morning so that all of us can feel good about ourselves, all right? So here are a couple failed Christmas cards. You can throw that first one up. Our first Christmas card fell. This little girl is absolutely not having it. I love that the parents were still willing to just put this on there. Like, hey, let's just go for it, right? The next one we got is... I love that the older siblings in this picture are like, we know if we move, mom's going to kill us. So we don't care what our little sibling is doing. We're standing right here no matter what happens. She can lose her mind and melt down, but we know we're not getting in trouble. I love it. I love that. Who has that child there on the bottom? Like, that's your kid. You don't have to raise your hand. Next photo. I love that they're holding joy. They're holding the word joy. And they're all losing their minds. They're just losing it, right? It's incredible when you think about this whole idea of Christmas from a distance it's pretty. And once you got a card, you can take that down. And once you get a card in the mail, you send it out and you think, oh, it looks good and all these things. But we all know the backstory of that card. And there's almost always a backstory to a Christmas card. And there's almost always a backstory to putting up Christmas decorations. Once you get them on the house, once you get them in the living room, they look pretty. And it's like, everyone's like, oh, it looks so good. It's so nice. And you're like, stand back. Oh, it looks good. But all of us know that leading up to the prettiness of it, there was a tangled mess coming out of the attic. There was some frustration on whoever's responsibility it was. There were bulbs that were burnt out that for some reason you can't find them, but you know that they're burnt out because nothing else seems to work. Thank God that LED lights have changed that for all of us. There was all of this frustration that's kind of pinned up, right? In all of the lights and the decor and all this stuff. And the tree, anybody ever had a tree fall over in your living room? Last year ours did. Thankfully it fell against the wall. I was like, thank God it didn't fall all the way over. That'd have been bad. But you have these moments where we look at it and it looks so pretty and it looks so nice and it looks so neat. But the reality of it is that there is a crazy side to all of it. And I know none of you have ever experienced this, but you've never been at a family event and there was a little bit of crazy there. Some of my family's in the room, so I can say that, and they know exactly what I'm talking about without even being offended about it. Like, it's just part of it. There's a little bit of crazy that comes with Christmas. It's just part of it. And a lot of times we depict Christmas in a very simple, nice, clean, neat, tidy nativity scene. I'm not against nativity scenes, by the way. If you have one, that's awesome. But they're going to throw a picture up of a basic nativity scene that you would see in someone's yard. You know, it's really simple. We have Mary and Joseph and a baby and a little manger there and this nice little barn kind of looking thing. And it's really clean and it's really simple. And it looks so majestic and so pretty, right? Like you just think, oh, that's sweet. That's nice. But in all reality, there was a crazy side to this nativity that for thousands of years we have been trying to tame and beautify and honestly make way prettier than it probably ever was. And today I want to talk about a little bit about the crazy of the first Christmas. Honestly, we've tried our best over the centuries to make it look nice and neat and pretty and clean and beautiful. And we've done a good job. Modern day marketing, Pinterest, like Pinterest boards have made Christmas awesome. You know, like you can do things a lot cheaper. You can make things look cute and crafty and cool and all those things. And we've made it a lot of different things. But I just want to be really honest. The first Christmas did not look like your Christmas Pinterest board. It didn't. It didn't look anything like that at all. It didn't even look like the picture that we just saw. The first Christmas, there was a crazy element to it. And I want to break down a little bit what the crazy was all about. What did it really look like? I think a lot of times we get into the mindset of it looks like lights and trees and all this cool stuff, and we've made it into that, but what did it really look like? So in Matthew chapter 1, verse 18, I'm going to read a verse here, the way the Christmas story starts, and then we're going to jump in and talk about what made Christmas crazy. Not just for 2020 and not just for our families and not just for our world, but what made it crazy even in the beginning. Matthew chapter 1, verse 18 says this. This is how Jesus, the Messiah, was born. His mother, Mary, was engaged to be married to Joseph, but before the marriage took place, before I read this next line, I want you to take all that you know about Christmas out of your mind for a minute. I know it's like really difficult to do, but just like remove like you ever knew anything about it, okay? Just like for a moment, pretend you know nothing about the Christmas story. And the next line says, but before the marriage took place, while she was still a virgin, she became pregnant. Throw everything you know about the Christmas story out the window. While she was still a virgin, she became pregnant. If there's ever been a crazier way to start a story than that line, find it for me, please. While she was still a virgin, she became pregnant through the power of the Holy Spirit. Joseph, to whom she was engaged, was a righteous man, and he didn't want to disgrace her publicly, so he decides to break the engagement quietly. He's like, this girl is crazy. Let's just be real. That's what he's thinking. He's going, she's a little bit psycho. She's lying to me. She is telling me that she is pregnant, but she didn't cheat on me. Let's just think about this conversation for a second. How would we all have that conversation? It would not be pretty. It would be crazy. We would be like, are you kidding me right now? And then it takes an angel from God, because let's be real, that's what it would have took for all of us. An angel from God coming down and saying, hey, Joseph, she ain't lying. It really is true. This is really the Son of God. This is really the Holy Spirit's baby. And Joseph's like, it better be. He's having this moment like, it better be. And this is all happening. And it's setting up this crazy, crazy, crazy story. And so I'm just curious today, how many guys would consider yourself a good gift wrapper? A few of you. I can't wrap anything. I'm a terrible gift wrapper, so there's no judgment if you're like, I'm not a good one. Neither am I. So I have a couple gifts up here on stage. Grab them. So I have this nice, pretty little bag. It's so nice and orange. This is my gift wrapping right here, okay? I ran out of wrapping paper, so I just used the tag off the gift to finish it up, all right? You just gotta, you want to make sure they can't see what's in the package. So I have two gifts here, and I want to give one of these away to somebody. So let me think here, who we got? Let's see. Oh, who we want to give a gift away to today? Oh, let's see. How about we give a gift away to Jeremy? Come on, Jeremy, come up here. For a second, you can give a clap for Jeremy. All right, so I have two gifts, and you can hop up on stage with me. Let's just be real for a moment. If you were to choose one of these gifts, and this was not a pastor's illustration, so you weren't overthinking it, but if you were just to look at two simple things and you were to choose a gift, which gift would you choose based on the way that they look? If you were just to choose a gift, which one would you choose? If this wasn't an illustration and I wasn't trying to trick you, which one would you choose? There you go. You would pick this one, right? So let's just go ahead. Let's open this gift, and let's see what you got in there. Quickly, you're one of those people, okay? There you go. You have an apple that has a chunk bit out of it, bro. That's a good gift, right? So you would choose that one. Obviously, all of us would if we didn't know that there was something going on behind the scenes here. But then you have this gift, which I just want to say I'm proud of the way I wrapped that. It takes talent to wrap a gift this badly. And so I want to give you both gifts. So you can open that gift too. I'll take this one from you. You don't really want that anyway. So you can open that gift. $9.99 from TJ Maxx. That was actually a tag off something else I bought. So in that one, you have a Google Home. There you go, man. That's yours. You can have it. Take it. So you get a Google Home. So when we look at gifts, oftentimes we think about what's in the package based on the way it looks. And I know, like we're told, don't judge a book by its cover and all those things, right? But we do it. And we do it whenever it comes to gifts. We look at something and we judge it based on the way it's wrapped. And if it has a really pretty nice wrapping, we think, oh, there's probably something great in there. And if it looks terrible, we think, I don't want whatever is in that. I do not want it. And how, you guys looking at me like you're like self-righteous. You've done it. Don't act like you haven't. Like you've done it. You've walked into a house and you've thought, I hope that's not my gift. You've done it. You know you have. You've done it. And if you haven't done it, you're going to do it in a few weeks. You're going to walk into a family member's house and you're going to be like, oh, God, I hope that is not my gift. Please don't let that one. Let the big bag that they didn't, let the big bag be mine. Don't let that random thing over there be mine. And you're going to have that moment. And oftentimes when we look at the crazy of Christmas, the truth is one of the things that makes Christmas crazy is strangely wrapped gifts. Strangely wrapped gifts. I want you to think for a moment with me. If you're taking notes, these are some great things to write down. Strangely wrapped gifts make Christmas crazy. The reason why is this. Mary gets the greatest gift ever given to her. The greatest gift ever given is given to Mary. And yet it is wrapped in disgrace. It is wrapped in embarrassment. It is wrapped in possibly losing the man that she loves. It is wrapped in insult. It is wrapped in decades worth of people hurling insults at her. It is wrapped in things that she did not want. It was wrapped in confusion. It was wrapped in things that you would have never wrapped a great gift in, or we would not think of wrapping a great gift in, but it was wrapped in all of these things. It's the greatest gift ever given, and it was wrapped very, we would say poorly. We're going to use the word strangely today because God, honestly, he's going, hey, I know how to wrap things. And the way you want it wrapped and the way you want it to look, it's not the way it's going to look. Why? Because God, he sees the big picture. Joseph, he gets the greatest gift ever. And Joseph is given the gift. You ever thought about this? Mary is the mother of Jesus, obviously, but Joseph is the adoptive father, if you will. God, being the father that he is, picked Joseph. He trusted Joseph enough to say, hey, I want you to be my son's dad. He picked him. And he gave him this incredible gift, yet he wrapped it in everyone thinking that his wife had cheated on him. He wrapped it in everyone being embarrassed, secondhand embarrassment for him. He wrapped it in insults being hurled his way. He wrapped it in just some craziness. He wrapped it in fear. He wrapped it in all these things. And oftentimes when God gives us gifts, we don't see them as gifts because we see the wrapping paper and we see what comes with them and we're like, God, that can't be you. That can't be you. And God's going, no. I see the big picture. I'm going to wrap things in ways that they don't make sense to you. And I know they don't make sense to you, but just trust me in this. The crazy of Christmas is that oftentimes gifts are strangely wrapped. The second part, or the second thing that makes Christmas a little bit crazy is this. Everyone is invited. I'm going to say that one more time. Everyone is invited. Some of you guys, you're happy that this year there's people quarantined. Some of you have been praying for weeks. God, please let them have exposure. Don't let them get sick, but let them have exposure so they don't show up. You have been. And you're happy about it a little bit because everyone is invited. That's the greatest part about it too, though. Everyone is invited. Everyone is invited. Look at the first Christmas. Luke chapter 2, verse 15 says this. When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, let us go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about. So they hurried off and found Mary and Joseph and the baby who was lying in the manger. The shepherds, I don't know if you know anything about historically, the shepherds were the poorest of poor people. It would have been the equivalent of a homeless man walking into your nursing mother's room at the hospital. And you'd be like, what are you doing here? They were the first people there. Mary and Joseph, baby, probably within 24 hours, all of a sudden, the poorest of poor people in the entire community, in the entire region, these shepherds who were smelly, hadn't showered in days because they've been living with sheep out on the hillside, they walk into Bethlehem. They're looking for this baby. They show up, and they're like, hey, we're here for the party. And Mary's like, who are you, and why are you here? Just think of if you've ever been in a hospital room with a new mom. The last people she wants to be in that room are people she doesn't know, and especially people that she doesn't know that smell bad or that look bad or that are dirty. And that's who shows up in this moment was the shepherds. And then not just the shepherds, but then days, probably weeks later, honestly, we find the magi showing up, or the wise men showing up. And they're the royal elite, really. They're like the high-level politicians. They're high-level royalty. And they show up, and they have all these awesome gifts. We tend to think there are 3 of them because there are 3 gifts. There were probably hundreds of them that showed up. And they give these gifts to Jesus. And so we have the poorest of poor, and then we have the elite showing up. And then Mary and Joseph were kind of like the middle class, blue collar working people. And so we have literally all social classes showing up in this one room or in this one place to celebrate one king. His name is Jesus. And they're there because everyone is invited. No matter your social class, no matter your ethnicity, no matter your political affiliation, everyone is invited. And when it comes to Christmas, it's one of the things that makes it strange. It makes it crazy because now we got everybody here and we got all these different opinions and all these different beliefs and all these different thoughts. And the same thing that makes your family Christmas crazy made the first Christmas crazy. Everyone is invited. And we say today, 2,000 years later, everyone is still invited. Everyone is still invited to see Jesus, to meet Jesus, to know Jesus. Everyone is still invited. Everyone is still invited. The third thing that makes it a little bit crazy is this. I don't know if you ever thought about this, but his name was King Jesus. And guess what? He was born into a place that, number 3, there was already a king. Showing up to a place with a title that someone else in that place already has the title can get really, really, really awkward really, really, really quick. In Matthew chapter 2, verse 1, it says this: Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the reign of King Herod. And about that time, some wise men from eastern lands arrived in Jerusalem asking, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star as it rose, and we have come to worship him." King Herod was deeply disturbed, obviously, when he heard this, as was everyone in Jerusalem. Herod's like, whoa. Could you run that name by me one more time, please? They're like, the newborn King of the Jews. He's like, there's already a king here. You're talking to him. My name is Herod. I'm king of not just the Jews, but I'm king of everyone. And you're talking to me. I'm the king. And in this moment, we see this tension start to play in this like really crazy moment of like, wait a second here. There's something happening that doesn't make sense. It would essentially be the equivalent of you being at Christmas with your family and grandpa's over there in the recliner and he's hanging out and everybody's talking and chilling. And then some random dude shows up into the house and is like, "Hey, I'm actually grandpa." And you're like, grandpa's in the recliner over there. Like, you're not grandpa. And he's like, "No, but I am." And you're like, this got really awkward really quick. And you're like, "Grandma, you have some explaining to do," right? Like it's awkward, right? And that's what's happening, this awkward moment where all of a sudden there's people looking for this new king and Herod's going, "Whoa, I'm the king. Why are you looking for another king? I'm the king." And there was already a king. And so Jesus is being called king in a kingdom whose throne was already occupied. It was like this Game of Thrones things going on. It was just a lot of chaos and all these people were fighting and it was crazy and they're trying to figure out what's going on and Herod's not happy. Herod was incredibly jealous anyway. He was really, really skeptical of people. He had multiple people in his own family killed because he thought they were conspiring against him. So this was not the kind of guy that you want to step on his throne. Like, he had no problem killing his own family members to make sure that he got to keep it. And now all of a sudden Jesus is showing up and he's going, he's a baby. He's not even declaring that he's the king. Other people are declaring that he's the king. And it gets even more awkward because it's not like he's proclaiming it. Other people are calling him that. And every one of us has this Herod moment. Every one of us has this moment. I don't know if you know this or not, but all of us have some Herod in us. We have this mentality. We have this attitude of Herod in us. Just like Herod in this moment, we all have this moment where at some point in time in our lives, Jesus, the true king, enters in, and then we have a decision to make. Are we going to forfeit our throne? Are we going to step down off the throne? Are we going to give it to the true king? Or are we going to keep controlling it and ruling it ourselves? And if I'm going to be really, really honest with you today, this point is something that every single one of us has to deal with. Oftentimes, we think we're the king of our lives. And we act as king of our lives. But then when Jesus enters in and he comes in, or you hear a message about him becoming king of your life, you have a decision to make just like Herod. And you can either stand your ground and you can stand firm and you can try to play king of your own life and you can try to control your own life, or you can say, "You know what? There's a new king. And he's the true king. I thought I was the king, but in reality, I'm not. He's the real king. And I'm going to give up control of my throne, the throne of my life, and I'm going to let him have control over it." And every single one of us, we have this tension whenever Jesus enters into our lives, or when we hear about him, or we hear the story of Christmas, when we hear the greatest story ever told, we have to decide, am I going to be king of my throne, or am I going to give up my throne to the true king? And this is a daily choice, because the king king known as Jesus, he wants to have the throne of every area of our lives. Not just the areas that we're willing or wanting to give up, but the areas that we're even holding on to and we're hesitant to give up. He's going, no, if I'm going to be the king, I'm the king of all of it. You don't get to just pick and choose the areas that I'm king. I'm king of everything, or I'm king of nothing. And in that moment, Herod has this decision to make. And he could have made a decision where he stepped back and said, you know what? He's the true king. And he could have taken a very different posture than what he took, but he doesn't take that posture. He takes a posture that creates even more chaos and even more craziness. Herod actually decides at that point in time, I'm going to kill the new king. And I think this is a part of the Christmas story that oftentimes we leave out. Just to be honest, it's really sad. But Herod steps in and he goes, no, I'm not going to let this happen. I'm going to kill the new king. And so he starts trying to find out where this king is. And he tells the Magi, hey, report to me back. Where do you find him? Let me know where he's at, because I'm going to go and I want to give him gifts too. Really what he was saying is I want to go and I want to smash his head too. And I want to kill him. And that's what he was saying. He's like, I don't want him to live, because if he lives, he might take my king spot. And a lot of times we do the same thing with Jesus. We hear about Jesus and we hear about what he can do for us. And then we think, I got to make sure and I got to push him out of my life as far as I can, because if I don't, then I'm going to lose control of my life. And the truth is that's what Matthew tells us. That's what the Gospels tell us, that we can give up our lives and we can gain life, or we can hold on to it and we can lose everything. And Herod was holding on to it, and he was going, I got to hold on to it. I got to hold on to it. I'm the king. I'm the king. I'm the king. And we do the same thing within our own minds and within our own hearts. He's going, I'm the king. I'm the king. I'm the king. And Jesus is there. He's a baby. He's not even saying anything. He's just crying and pooping and stuff. Like, he's not doing anything else. That's just him. Like, he's a child, right? Like, there's nothing else about it happening here. And Herod's already losing his mind. And so he's like, I'm going to kill this king. The last point here, the crazy of Christmas, and I'll kind of explain more of what Herod did in this, but the last point is this: obedience is rewarded with chaos. And man, if there's never a point I want you to hear, is this point. Obedience is rewarded with chaos. Oftentimes, and I'm guilty of this as a pastor, oftentimes we talk about when you give your life to Jesus, how everything's going to be better. And let me just say, that is true. Because you do gain access to the King of the world. You do gain access to a peace that is unknown. Before that, you do gain access to like this amazing heaven coming down, the presence of God. You do gain access to all that. However, when we give our lives to Jesus, it almost always brings chaos. And a lot of times as pastors, we don't communicate that. Why? Because we want people to give their lives to Jesus. I'm like, we'll tell you that part later. But the truth is that when you give your life to Jesus, it brings chaos. It brings chaos into your life. And I just want to show you here, Mary and Joseph, they accept this assignment. They accept the greatest gift ever given. And instead of it getting easier for them, it gets way, way, way more difficult. Honestly, the bottom falls out of their life. Every plan that they had ever had was shot, like it's done. Everything that they had thought, done. Everything that now they have to do was for this new king. They had to adapt their entire life to him now because they've been given this incredible gift. And when we accept salvation, when we accept Jesus into our lives, everything about it creates chaos. It does. It creates chaos. Why? Because who we once were is now fighting with the new king who's going, hey, you got to give up your throne. And there's chaos that ensues between our flesh and between this new king. And then not only that, but when we accept the assignments and the gifts that he gives, guess what? It creates more chaos. Obedience. See, Dixie gets it. She gets it. It creates it. It just creates it. It creates more chaos. And this is some of the things, and a lot of times we leave this stuff out or we don't think about it in this way. So these are some of the crazy things that happen. So in the chaos, in the obedience, some of the chaos that happens is all of a sudden now what they thought was going to happen was that they would just have this baby, it'd all be good, move on with life, good deal. But instead, Caesar, Augustus says, hey, now, no, we're going to do a census, and also we're going to increase your taxes. That's what everybody wants to happen whenever they give their life to Jesus. Cool, my taxes go up. Awesome. So taxes increase. Oh, not just that, but you have to travel back to pay them. You can't mail them in. Okay, awesome. No e-file? No, you got to travel back. Okay, so now he's got to travel back to his hometown. He has to go back to Bethlehem. He has to take Mary with him. Can you imagine this journey? Mary is pregnant. She's riding a donkey. She's very, very far along. And not just that, it's not like you're going back to go and like celebrate. You're going back to pay taxes. How joyful was Christmas? Let's go pay some taxes together, babe. Come on, let's do it. Date night on me, right? Like, so much fun. And so they're going back to pay taxes. And they are having this journey. Mary's on this donkey, all this crazy stuff's happening. And then they get there, and Joseph's probably like, oh, thank God we're here finally. And then what happens, if you know the story, you know what happens. But if not, they get there, and because everyone had been traveling back, I'm sure they were a little slower than most people, given the circumstances. And then what happens, they get there, and there is absolutely no vacancy in any room in the entire city. So you're like, oh, this guy's so much more fun. This is exciting. Oh, joy to the world. It's like so good. And all of a sudden they're there and Mary's like, hey, we need to move this along. This is going to happen pretty quick. I'm about to have a baby and you need to find me a place. And Joseph's like, God, are you kidding me? I accepted your gift. I accepted your assignment. And this is what I get? Chaos is what you gifted me. And God's going, yep. God, are you kidding me? I accepted your gift. I accepted your assignment. And it's going to cost me more than anything I've ever thought, dreamed, or imagined it would cost me. And God goes, yep, it is. And Joseph's in this dilemma, in this tension that we often overlook of he's going, God, I stepped into the thing that you asked me to do, God. Are you kidding me right now? Can't you at least give us a hotel room? Like, come on. And God's like, nope. So they go and they're trying to find a place to stay. And if you've ever seen it depicted, they're trying to find this place. And they end up finding a place that honestly, we've spent centuries beautifying and making it look really, really cool and really majestic and Pinteresty. And the truth is what we look at as a barn and a manger with some nice, clean, fresh straw and a little cradle there. And Jesus is born there and all those things were the truth of all of it. If you really go look, it was actually a cave that was carved out of the mountain. That's where they stored animals. It was in a cave. Carved out of the mountain, musty cave, probably some bats in there, animals in there. There was animal poop everywhere, let's be real. Silent night, I doubt it. Just throwing that out there, probably not. Probably not. And all of that's happening, and Joseph's going, God, are you kidding me? You said he was the king of the world. Are you really gonna let him be born here? Are you really gonna let him be born here? And God's going, yep. He's going to be born into poverty. He's going to be born into the messiest situation that he could ever be born into because every time that he comes to rescue people, he's going to rescue them in their mess. Every time that he comes into people's lives, he's going to come in whenever they're at their poorest moment, maybe not financially, but spiritually. When they're at their poorest moment, he's going to rescue them. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to foreshadow every single time he rescues someone. It's going to look like this. It's going to look like a mess. It's going to look loud. It's going to look noisy. It's going to look like it should not be happening. And it's going to look like it's the poorest place in the world because spiritually that's how people are. And every time he comes to rescue them, he's going to rescue them from the worst place they could ever be. So let's just start him right there. And Joseph and all of that, I'm just being honest. I don't think he was spiritual enough at that point to see it. I think he was just going, I'm a failure. I think he was just like, I'm the worst dad in the world. I'm letting my kid be born in a cave, laying in a cold rock, and I got a, sheep over here that's pooping by him. Like, what in the world is going on? And all that crazy is happening. Why? Because obedience is often rewarded with chaos. Obedience is often rewarded with chaos. I'm going to pose a question to you. You can think about this. I'm not telling you this is fact. I'm asking a simple question. If you're not experiencing some level of chaos in your life, are you really being obedient to the call of God on your life? When I read scripture, there's always chaos. Always. There's always chaos. Why is that? Because obedience is often rewarded with chaos. Matthew chapter 2, verse 13 says this. After the wise men were gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. you think everything's kind of done. You're like, thank God we had the child. We got a journey back home, but it's not, at least Mary's, had the baby, we're good. All things are, seemingly we're going to move on from here. We made it through, all good to go, right? No. He says, in this dream, the angel says, get up, flee to Egypt with the child and his mother. The angel said, stay there until I tell you to return. Whoa. God, I have a home. I have a job. I have a career. I have land probably. I have a house possibly. I have a place. I have friends. I have family. I have all of these things, God. And God says, yeah, but right now, guess what? You're going to Egypt. But I've never been to Egypt. And he's like, because obedience is often rewarded in chaos. He said, hey, go to Egypt. And you're going to flee to Egypt, and you're going to take your whole family with you, because that's going to be a fun road trip. And you're going to go to Egypt. And while you're there, he says, stay there until I tell you to return, because Herod is going to search for your child and kill him. That makes everyone really, really happy. Just think about Mary, the mom. I know none of you are overprotective moms, but just think about overprotective Mary. She's going, I have to keep him safe. He's the king of the world. He's supposed to do great things in the future. This is supposed to be a big deal. He's a bit of a big deal, and it's my responsibility. We can't let anything happen to him. And now Joseph goes, babe, we're going to go to Egypt. And she's like, what? Yeah, the king that's over the land, he wants to kill our new baby. Mom's like, I'm going to kill you. You better get us to wherever we need to go. That's what's happening in that moment. And so what do? They flee to Egypt. And that night, verse 14, it says that Joseph left for Egypt with the child and Mary, and his mother, and they stayed there until Herod's death. That's a long time. And this fulfilled what the Lord has spoken through the prophet. I called my son out of Egypt. Verse 16, Herod was furious when he realized that the wise men had outwitted him, and he sent soldiers. This is the part of Christmas that nobody wants to talk about. This is the craziest part of Christmas to me, actually. And most of us probably skim over this verse and we don't pay attention to it because we don't like it. So I'm going to be really honest. We don't like it. I don't like it. But this is Christmas, and it was crazy. And this is what it says. Herod's mad. He sends soldiers to kill all the boys in and around Bethlehem who were 2 years old and under, based on the wise men's report of the star's first appearance. It makes that cute little nativity seem really cute, doesn't it? It was crazy. It was crazy. And what was happening in the world at that time was absolute chaos. Hundreds of women lost their children in brutal ways. It said that they would throw them off cliffs. They would bash their heads against rocks. And I'm being real with you because there's not kids in the room. But those are the things that would happen to kill these little babies, these little kids, these little toddlers, 2 years old and younger. Why? Why? Why the crazy? Why the chaos? Why? Because the greatest story ever told wasn't this cute little beautiful nativity thing. It was this rescue mission where Jesus left heaven. He came to earth in messy, chaotic situation, and he said, I'm here, and I'm here to save humanity. Let me just say, rescue missions are almost always messy. They're almost always a fight. There's almost always some violence. There's almost always a part of it that's just not pretty at all. And there was nothing pretty about all of this. Like I said, we beautified it. We made it pretty, but there was nothing pretty about it. What was happening was crazy, and it was chaotic, and it was a mess. And in all of that, Jesus is going, but I'm here to save you. I'm here to rescue you. I'm here to rescue humanity. I'm here to pay for your sin. I'm here because I am the only sacrifice that can save you. And I'm here for that. And so in all of this, I think Mary and Joseph are going, really, why is my reward for accepting this gift, this assignment? Why? And if you followed Jesus for more than a few months, like legitimately followed him, you've had this moment where you're like, God, why is this my assignment? God, why? I'm being obedient. Why did you give me this? Why do I have to handle this? God, why are you asking me to give up that? God, why are you asking me to step into this? And God's going, because obedience is often rewarded with chaos, and that chaos is going to mature you, and it's going to make you into the person I want you to be, and all of that so that you can help more people know Jesus and know the rescue mission. In the crazy of Christmas, I'm going to ask Aaron to come back up. In the crazy of Christmas, we often forget what was really happening. Now let's fast forward 2020, here we are. And now we've made, in year one of Christmas, the crazy was really crazy. It was violent and it was just a lot of stuff happening. And then fast forward to 2020, the crazy of Christmas is we got quarantines and COVID and all that stuff. But then we have all the other just normal crazy, like, oh, we got to rush around and buy presents, and we got to put up Christmas decor, and we got plays and parties and all this other stuff. I guess we don't have any plays right now, but we have parties. People are still doing that. We have all these different things, all this different stuff happening. And it creates a lot of distraction, honestly. And in the first Christmas, there was distraction everywhere. And in all the distraction and all the crazy around this original Christmas, around our yearly celebrations, the distraction of what is really important is what happens. What was really happening was there was this rescue mission happening. There was this rescue mission where Jesus was coming to earth and he was going, hey, I'm coming. I'm going to save humanity. I'm going to save people. And that's what was happening in this thing, but we get distracted by it. We get distracted by the crazy of all of it because we're like, yeah, but all this other stuff was happening, and I got presents to buy, and I got trees to put up, and I got decorations to make, and yeah, but what matters? What matters? Even in the mess and the crazy of Christmas, the lead story was and still is Jesus. The lead story was and still is Jesus. And so many times we get distracted by all the other stuff and we forget, man, Jesus is the lead to this story. The greatest story ever told, Jesus is the lead. John 16:33 says it this way, even in the crazy, he says, I have told you all of this that you may have peace in me. Here on earth, you will have many trials and sorrows. Let me just rephrase that for a second. Here on earth, life's gonna get crazy. Things are gonna happen. Stuff's gonna happen. In the original Christmas, if he were writing about that, he would say, here on earth, things aren't gonna go as planned. People are gonna pass away. Stuff's not gonna happen the way you think it's gonna be. Chaos is going to ensue, all those things. But take heart, because I have overcome the world. I've overcome the world. All of the Christmas story was about the lead, the King of peace. His name is Jesus. And even in the chaos, even in the crazy, there was this peace and there is this peace that's found in Jesus. When everything else around us is crazy, when we connect relationally with Jesus, it brings peace into our lives, no matter how crazy and chaotic everything else is. I do think that there was, in the craziness of all of it, I think Mary and Joseph had a peace about themselves going, he's the King, and he's our responsibility. And even in the chaos, even in the crazy, no matter what happens, we got this. I think they looked at each other multiple times and just said, we got this. There will be trouble. There will be crazy. But Christmas is still the greatest story ever told. And even in our lives, Jesus enters in a non-threatening way. He entered as a baby. He enters into your life and my life in a very non-threatening way. And when he enters in this non-threatening way, we have a decision to make. Are we going to maintain the throne of our lives? Or are we going to forfeit that throne and give it to him? And I was being really, really real. One of the things I've learned in 2020 is that most people want to maintain their throne. Most people want to maintain their throne. They don't want to give it up. If there's anything Jesus is asking at the end of this year, at the end of this season, it's, let me have control. Let me be the king of the throne. Let me have the throne of your life. Step down. Don't take Herod's posture. Don't take his posture. Step down off the throne. Let me have your throne. And when we do that, peace does come. Chaos, yes, but peace in the chaos. And it transforms everything. So I want you to bow your heads with me for a moment. Today, some of you sitting here, honestly, the purest question I can ask you is, will you give up your throne? Or are you going to take Herod's posture and you're going to hold on to it and you're going to fight for it and you're going to fight against the things that God wants for your life? You're going to fight against the things Jesus is asking of you. You're going to fight against it, and God's going, hey, you got to be willing to give up your throne. You got to let me be Lord of your life. And so I just want to ask you in a very honest question. If you're watching with us online or you're here in the room, are you willing to give up the throne of your life? If that's you today, and you say, man, I've been holding on to my throne for too long. I've held on to it. I've fought for it. I've tried to control it. But today I want to let go of that. And I want to truly give Jesus the throne of my heart and the throne of my life. If that's you today, I was going to ask you to raise your hand. This in this moment, just raise your hand. Anybody in the room? Anybody online? You say, that's me. I've been holding on to it. I'm going to call out something right now that I just want to be, I don't do this every week. But right now in this moment, there's a spiritual battle going on. There's a spiritual battle going on in a lot of hearts in this room. And you're going, I'm not letting go of that. And Jesus is going, you have to let go if you want me to be the king of your life. And you're going, but I don't want to let go of that. But I like controlling that. But I don't want to let go of that piece. But what? No, God, not that piece. And it's a battle that's happening right now in the hearts of people in this room. There's a battle that happens in my heart on a weekly basis like this. And you have to make that decision of going, hey, am I going to give up lordship of my life to Jesus, the true King of peace, the real King? Or am I going to keep acting like I'm king? Because let me just say, you're a fake king and you're not a good king. I'm not a good king of my life. I'm a king that tends to destroy a lot more than I build. If that's you today and you say, man, I want to give up the throne of my life, it literally starts with a simple prayer to saying, God, I submit to you. Jesus, I accept you into my life as Lord of my life. I give up my throne. As you pray that prayer, it starts something, it activates something in your soul and in your life that begins to transform who you are. And the last question I have for you today is, man, do you need peace in the chaos? You need peace in the chaos. And if that's you, I want to pray over you. But I also want you to know you will never have peace if you're the king of your life. Ever. You won't. You can't do it. You can't create peace. You're not the king of it. Jesus is the king of peace. And the only way that you'll have peace, even in the midst of chaos, let me just say, chaos isn't going away. It was present 2,000 years ago. It's present in 2020. It's going to be present in 2021 and 2022, 23, 24, and beyond. Chaos is not going away. Chaos is here to stay. The only thing that's different is that whether you walk through the chaos with the King of Peace or you walk through it trying to lord your own life, and that's what makes it different. And that's your decision today, but I want to pray peace over your life, but more than that, I want to pray that you would give up your throne. God, we love you today. And God, I want myself, I want our church, I want us to take the posture, not of Herod, but a posture of humility that says, you're the true king, you're the real king. Even in the crazy and the chaos of this year, even in the crazy and the chaos of Christmas, even in all that was happening, even in all that we don't even fully understand, even in all that Mary and Joseph had to walk through, even in the fact that when we're obedient, chaos is introduced, even in all of that, God, you're the true king. And even in all the chaos, I can walk through it with peace because you're the king of peace. You're the king of peace. And God, we love you. And I pray peace over our church today. I pray peace over our communities today. God, but even more than that, I pray that, God, we would give up the throne of our lives today. That we would stop trying to control it ourselves. That we would stop trying to be our own king. God, we make really bad kings. And God, I pray that we would give up our kingship, that we would give up our lordship. We would give it to you. We put you on the throne of our hearts, put you on the throne of our lives. And that, God, that you would bring peace, even in the chaos, even in all the crazy. And God, we stand here today to honor you and to worship you and to say thank you for being with us. Thank you for being Emmanuel. And God, we love you and we praise you today in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.